So now if we look at dividing integers, the rules for dividing integers are the same as the rules for multiplying integers. If you have two negatives or two positives, you end up getting a positive answer. If you have a negative and a positive in any order, your answer will be negative. A positive divided by a positive gives a positive answer. A positive divided by a negative gives a negative answer. A negative divided by a positive gives a negative answer. And a negative divided by a negative gives a positive answer. So same signs gives a positive, different signs gives a negative. And just like with multiplication, there are different ways that things can be written to indicate you are to divide. 15 over 3 looks like a fraction, but it is another way of writing divided. This means 15 divided by 3. The division sign can be used, 15 divided by 3. And sometimes fractions are written horizontally using a slash. So instead of having 15 over 3, we have 15 slash 3, but it does mean the same thing, 15 divided by 3. So now we're going to look at some examples of multiplying and dividing integers. So the first example is 4 times 2. So that's positive 4 groups of positive 2 tiles, or 4 groups of 2 red tiles. 1 group, 2 groups, 3 groups, 4 groups. So the answer is 8 red tiles, or positive 8. 10 divided by 2 means I'm going to take 10 red tiles and split it into groups of 2. So there's 1 group of 2, 2 groups of 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I take 10 and divide it into groups of 2, the answer is 5. Now the next one, 4 times negative 2, is the same as 4 groups of 2 blue tiles. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 groups of 2 blue tiles. So altogether I have negative 8 blue tiles. So now, negative 4 times 2. I'm going to start with 4 groups of 2 red tiles. 1, 2, 3, 4. But we learned that the negative or the takeaway means add the opposite. Or if I have a negative times a positive, I have to give a negative answer. So when I take away 4 groups of positive 2, they become their opposite. So the red tiles become blue. And when I count everything up, I'm left with negative 8, or 8 blue tiles. And indeed, a negative times a positive has to give us a negative because the signs are different. 10 divided into groups of negative 2. So the first thing I'm going to do is take the 10 and divide it into groups of 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But because of the negative 2 here, that means the opposite. So all of my red tiles have to become blue. And how many is in each group? Negative 5. And the last example is negative 4 times negative 2. And notice here we've used the asterisk, but that is just another way of representing multiplication. So I'm going to start with 4 groups of negative 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that would be if this negative weren't there. But because this negative is there, we're taking away 4 groups of negative 2. Take away means add the opposite. So I need to change all of my tiles to their opposites by flipping them over. After I do that, I can see that I end up with 8 red tiles, or positive 8. And again, if we consider our rules, a negative times a negative has to give us a positive because they are the same signs.